Welcome back, everyone, to the StarEast News Desk. My name is Jeff Payne. I'm the founder and CEO of Coveros. And I'm going to be running this segment. My special guest today is Adam Sandman from Inflectra. Adam, welcome to the news desk. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So we're going to talk. A little bit about the software industry and what's happening in the industry, and obviously how Inflectra is meeting the demands and challenges in that industry. So let's talk first big picture. What do you see happening in the software industry and across QA and test and even agile and project management? What are you seeing happening, and what do you think the challenges are going to be going forward?
I mean, there are challenges that were already, I think, moving before the current situation that we're in, but I think they're being accelerated by the fact that people are having to learn new ways of working because of the coronavirus. I think you're seeing a move towards distributed teams, distributed time zones, remote working, and much more technology being used as the glue to collaborate and work together. I think what you're also seeing, which was always, I think, true, was a focus on a lot of applying of automation to processes. Things like RPA become a lot more popular, obviously script-based automation as well, and the application of machine learning and AI. I think what's happening in the industry in the last 3 months is accelerating those trends because people don't know where their workers are going to be, what time zones they're working, and using automation to find patterns and being able to identify risk is becoming a key part of QA and DevOps. And the other thing we've seen, very interestingly, is risk management, which was in many ways a niche discipline or niche discipline that really was in the realm of the PMI folks. Risk management's become front and center into project management, agile, and even QA. Every meeting we go to now, we're talking about risk management in the same breath as QA and project management. I think before it was its own separate world, and that blending in of things like risk management into the core discipline is a big change. I think of going further out, we're also seeing security, which has always been important, becoming even more important. If all your workers are distributed, that makes a much larger attack area, surface area for attack. So as you're developing systems and maintaining systems and testing them, you have to have security and performance right at the left of the design. And if you look at going distributed, suddenly everyone's using Zoom. Schools are going to use technologies that may be unproven at scales that they were planned for. Performance testing is right there at the beginning. So that's what I'm seeing in sort of the next couple of years. Beyond that, it's going to be interesting to see where the labor market changes. Are we seeing a move away from freelancers and away from the gig economy? Will the sharing economy, is that going to backpedal? Are we going to see companies having more formal relationships rather than relying on freelancers? So business models in the software industry and the technology industry will change, I think, as well.
No, those are great ideas, great thoughts. It's going to be a wild ride, I think, in the next 5 years. The new norm, right? No one knows what the new norm is going to be.
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting. Tell me a little bit about how Inflectra is approaching, kind of taking advantage of and meeting and addressing those challenges. What are you as a company trying to do to, be there for the people who need products in this area?
Right. I mean, it's been a challenging time for us because we have customers of every scale, from a small 3-user startup to large enterprises. And one of the things we've tried to do from the beginning is let our customers know that whatever their scale and size, we're there for them. So that's been things like a lot of customers really like our products, but their purchasing department is just not buying anything right now. And so we give them extended trials. So we gave everyone who had a trial for 30 days, 60, 90, 120-day trials. So they can still try it out. Their teams can use it while they're all distributed, and it allows them to take more time to make the decision. I think what we're seeing is people still want to buy software, still need technology, but the decision cycles are going to be longer. Because you can't just get into a room and say, well, what tool do you want? Let's whiteboard it out. It's a much more protracted cycle. So we're basically enabling that. I think also we have a relatively affordable solution. So we're seeing some customers that had more expensive legacy tools that they've been living with. They've always wanted to get off of them, but now it's a great imperative to move to I think a lighter footprint, more highly usable and cheaper solution. People work from home, don't have IT support departments when things don't work. You have to have consumer grade usability in a business app. And I think that's a new approach. Those are some of the things we're doing, and obviously giving people discounts, trying to help people bridge gaps and not shut off service, being flexible in how we approach customers too.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder with the kind of move to more distributed nature, how much more important SaaS tools and basically on-demand capabilities is going to be. It's definitely been growing right over the the last decade, but you just wonder if this is just going to accelerate that even more.
Yeah, we've had customers in the life sciences who previously were a bit scared of SaaS, hospitals and medical device companies. They've come to us and said, we want to move from your on-premise solution to your SaaS solution, and we want to do it next week. And we're like, okay,
okay,
we can do that. We can make that happen, and we did. But I think that's the thing. A lot of people looking at continuity of operations and their IT departments, they don't necessarily want to have them be a bottleneck in that, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point, because moving from on-prem to SaaS is really easy. Moving from SaaS back to on-prem, well, it might be a little harder, right?
But we can do
not
that.
Impossible. You can do it, right? But it's it just is interesting as everybody's moving to SaaS, given the current environment. It kind of makes me wonder: are people going to go back, right? Or are they going to go, you know what, this is working fine, we're just going to keep doing it, right? Nobody knows, right?
It'll depend. I think the fact that they can move back, at least in our case, means that they may not. They don't have to worry about it. I think when they feel like they have to make a one-time choice, then they're more leery. But they can move systems over, knowing if in theory that even if they don't ever do it, they can come back. So I think giving customers the choice of being able to have different deployments is really important too.
No, that's awesome. Give me a little bit of insight into the roadmap. What are you all looking at right now? Whatever you can share about products here in 2020 and in next year.
Right.
What are the key things that the market should expect to see from Inflectra?
I mean, from us, we've had a very strong focus on the regulated industry space, and some things that we've had increased. I mean, every demo we're doing now seems to ask for these features: approvals, electronic signatures, baselining, the ability to basically test and manage very complex systems like gas turbines for jet engines, hospital medical devices, even clinical pharma trials. So we're a software testing company primarily, with people using our software to do clinical trials of drugs, because the solution is the same. It's still testing, it's still requirements. So a lot of the FDA requirements are being baked into our tools. So in the next 6 months, we're going to have a lot of functionality around baselining, reviews, sign-offs, a lot of the formality of managing, and yet they're still sort of agile. So it's an interesting mix, but that's what we're focusing on in the next 6 months.
It's great stuff. And you mentioned process automation. I mean, things like document signing and signatures and stuff like that is just all in line with kind of where it's headed around just automation of the entire software process, really.
Right. Moving away from paper, we're moving away from Excel and Google Sheets and Google Docs. I mean, that's what people want to do.
Yeah. No, I don't blame them.
I mean, although people are moving to Google Drive, Google Suites in general, but not for managing data. Managing documents, yes, not managing data.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So talk a little bit about how Inflectra is kind of responding to the current economic system yourself. Right, situation yourself inside the company, and what have you learned, or what advice can you give companies of all sizes that are trying to figure out how to keep themselves profitable, keep themselves rolling in this very interesting, unique time we all live in? Right? Do you have any advice for
one advice? I mean, the advice I would give in general is get to know your banker. I mean, it's advice that everyone tells you about. But if you look at the Paycheck Protection Program, if you had a good relationship with your banker and you work with them ahead of time, I think you had more chance of getting the money. Managing costs. Costs are not important until there's a downturn, then costs become really important. I think also looking for value within your employees. A lot of your employees can do many things, and if you're looking at having to have less people do more, don't just look at your programmers and say, that's a programmer. Maybe they're an automation person. Maybe they can do other things. So look at each of your employees as a unique individual that can contribute multiple skills, because in this environment, you may have to do more with less, and you have that resource that may be just untapped. That's what we find really helpful. That's
great advice. I mean, you mentioned your banker. Any relationship, what I find is, when times are good, everybody's your friend, right?
Yes.
The real relationships are the people who, when times are tough, figure out how to, as best they can, obviously, support you and help each other, right? And that's really coming out, I think, in the last couple of months about who really is a partner, who do you have the relationships with that you can count on to help. Because when times are good, everybody helps, right?
Right. I think paying it forward is good. We've also had a policy of that, if we can help some of our customers or our partners in whatever way it is, you should do that, because A, they remember it, but B, you may need their help even in a few weeks' time when things aren't so good. So I think paying it forward when you have the luxury is a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're almost out of time, but I did want to ask you, great companies thrive on a unique story they have to tell, a unique position, value prop. What is the Inflectra, story? What is the key element to Inflectra that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, there are two things. The main one I think is our mantra is we build for our users and not for Wall Street. I love saying that because I think it really sums up what we do. From the day one, we've always wanted to build features that our customers need, not that research firms or industry publications say you should have. Real features that deliver real value. And the second thing that's really important to us is something we call second acts or second chances. It's giving people in the industry a chance at a career who may not have come from that background. And I think that's really helped us in the current situation. And I think part of our story is if you ever come to visit us at StarEast virtual or StarEast, hopefully next year physical, you'll get to see some of that story in action. We care about our customers and we care about our people.
Well, thanks for joining me at the news desk today, Adam. I really appreciate your thoughts and comment. And please, everybody, go to see Inflectra at the virtual booth, at their virtual booth at the StarEast conference. How else can people contact you or reach Inflectra if they're interested?
We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Come to our website, come to other TechWell events, and also InflectraCon in the fall. And we are also sponsoring various other webinars and meetups, and our weekly Tipsy Testing virtual happy hour every Friday at 4 to 5 o'clock Eastern time.
Testing and drinking, perfect combination, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you spending the time with us.
Thank you.